Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Ryan. Today I'm pumped because this blind is one that I think is going to kind of spoil me a little bit. The category tonight is finished ryes. I happen to be a big fan of rye whiskeys, especially ones with some good age, especially when you let it spend some extra time in an extra barrel or a cask or whatever it might be. So I gave my wife a list of finished ryes, and I do know what two of these are going to be. I don't know where they are. But I wanted to make sure two of them went head-to-head because earlier this year I said that Sagamore Sherry Cask Finished Rye could go toe-to-toe with Midwinter Nights Dram. So Midwinter Nights Dram, I've got the most recent, this recent winter's seasonal Midwinter Night is in the lineup, as well as the Sagamore Sherry Cask. And then beyond that, I do have a handful of other finished ryes on my shelves, so we'll see which other two made the cut. So I don't know what those ones are, but the answers to what these each are is underneath the coasters folded up on a piece of paper. So I'm going to go through them, I'll taste them, I will rank them, and once I've ranked my favorite to least favorite of the night, then I'll reveal what they are and see if I was right about that Sagamore. We shall see. Let's get to it. So as always, when I edit this video, I will make sure to put on screen for you the name of whatever it is I'm tasting. So when I'm going through it, I won't know what it is, but you'll know what it is. Sound good? Starting right here with Glass A. Glass A. First thing I get is that characteristic, I always say like yellow fruits is something I get on ryes that have a little extra age on them. You know, sometimes you get those spicy ryes that are hot. They're a little, kind of like an adolescent, you know, they've got some attitude to them. But once you let rye mellow a bit, these yellow fruit notes start to come out, things like melon and citrus. And I'm definitely getting, I would say, almost like an apricot note on this. I always think about when we were doing our private tasting at Jim Beam, and the guy who's doing it, he's like, I hate when people say they get apricot. Like, when's the last time you ate an apricot? And I was like, well, you know what? To be fair, I grew up every weekend, almost every weekend, I'd be heading over to my grandparents' house, and they would put me to work. My grandpa would put me to work every Saturday, and when I would take a break, my grandma just had it in her mind that I must love apricots. I only ate them because I was raised to be polite, and you eat what's put in front of you. I did not care for them, but I always ate them with a smile on my face because I thought Grandma loved to feed them to me, and I didn't want to hurt her feelings. And she just thought I loved them. So we were both kind of mistaken there. That being said, I have had a lot of apricots in my time. And I often get apricot on some well-mellowed out ryes. I get some apricot here. I get a little bit of like a dried raisin as well. I think more like a craisin though. Not like the grape, but the dried cranberries. I love those dried cranberries. Even especially in a salad. I kind of love those in a salad. But so yeah, some craisins. That apricot note as well for sure. Not a ton of oak though. It's a really fruity nose. Let's try it. Cheers. Well, I tell you what, on the palate of this, there's some things I'm getting on the palate I was not getting on the nose. I definitely get that fruitiness, that dried cranberry, sweet dried cranberry, but I'm also getting like this thick molassesy note. Very sweet, very syrupy molasses kind of a note on that as well. Really chewy. And a little bit of that subtle dry tannic oak just on the tail end and into the finish. That's pretty good. Sweet cranberry, molasses, thick and chewy. And some of that spicy oak on the tail end. And yeah, there's definitely a fair bit of that peppercorn sort of a note that you get on a lot of ryes as well. It is unabashedly a rye underneath all that fruit. Hey, I like that. Let's move on to the next one. Glass B. Woo. Burnt marshmallow. The top of a creme brulee, that caramelized sugary vanilla. And tons of brown sugar. You kidding me? This is great. This nose is fantastic, man. I tell you what. Whatever's in here has free permission to assault my nostrils any time of any day. Because this is like freaking candy here. All that brown sugar. Lots of oak, too. And those burnt caramelized notes. You'll love it. I cannot wait to drink this. Cheers. What a treat. Tons of oak. Tons of brown sugar. On the palate, I even get almost like, you know those, like the edges of a brownie? You ever get a brownie that's an edge piece? And in the middle, you get that soft brownie, but then on the edges, it's almost like that crispy, a little bit harder to chew through brownie that's sort of crisped up a bit. That's hard to say. Crisped up a bit? Yeah, some of that on it as well. But that is dripping with brown sugar and oak. That's got to be a double oaked rye for sure. It doesn't taste like it's a super high proof, but it is really oily, and it's got these thick drips running down the glass. So I don't know, is it drinking under its proof, or is it really thick for a lower proof whiskey? I don't know. One of the two is happening though. Love that though. Love that. Let's move on to C. Just exhaling through my nose with the inside of my mouth wide open, you know? Tons of oak and brown sugar from that last pour. Just hanging on forever. But moving on here to glass C. A little bit of like a stemmy grape, you know, dusty stemmy grape right off the vine. Nose makes me think of a Cabernet. And I'm not a wino at all, but I do like a nice, tangy, dry red wine. Like a Cabernet. Bold flavor. Even getting a sort of like a lemongrass note on the nose of this too. But not a ton of oak. Very fruit-forward nose on this. Let's try it. Cheers. Man, on that palate, I really think of, I think of grape bubblegum. Like bubble yum, but the grape flavor of it specifically. There's a chance my mind jumped to that, though, because today, helping coach my son's baseball team, I'm in the dugout there, and the kids are all passing around grape bubble yum. And I'm smelling it as I'm watching the kids at bat. I'm smelling it as they're popping bubbles behind me on the benches. And I'm definitely getting that grape bubble yum on the palate of this. I even get sort of like a red vines note. You know, that red licorice, like Twizzlers, but the red vines. I didn't really like Twizzlers. I tended to prefer the red vines personally. And all that made me weird among all my friends, because everyone's like, dude, why are you even bothering eating licorice if it isn't Twizzlers? That is pretty good. It almost has this sort of like a musty warehouse note as well at the tail end of that palate, which I do not mind. And I kind of figured going into this blind, like there wasn't going to be anything here that I tasted and I'd be like, whoa, hate that, don't like that. I figured I would at least enjoy all of these. And so far I have. But we've had, so far it's been like fruity on glass A, oaky and brown sugary on glass B, fruity on glass C, and then we'll see what glass D is. Let's move on. Get a little water here to cleanse that. All right, last glass of the night. Well, I'd say the nose of this one is really oak forward, but underneath the oak, I'm getting some maple, and I want to say like a chai tea sort of a note going on this one. Yeah, like a chai tea note. It has a very strong nose, right? It's not very subtle. It's like a combination of sweet, but also vegetal, all within the oak framing. Let's try it. Cheers. Okay, what are you? That's a really compelling sip right there. Some black licorice, that chai tea note, definitely got that tea vibe going on. And sweet maple syrup as well. This has got some proof to it. It's thick, it's viscous. Huh. Man, that's really different. But in a good way. I really like this. So this has got to be a finished rye, but it's kind of taking me to places I'm not used to going with a finished rye. Specifically that chai tea note and some of that black licorice, the anise in there as well. It might not be an everyday kind of a thing you'd be down to try, but today I find that interesting and compelling, and I like it a lot. So we went like from A through D. It was glass A was super fruity, glass B was super oaky and sweet, glass C again visited those fruity notes, and then glass D, that maple licorice and chai tea. Some great pours tonight. I really enjoyed all these. Some more than others, though. Yeah, I don't think there's a single bad pour on the table tonight, but I do have to pick favorites. Let me run past these one more time before I make my final judgment. This is tough, because initially, and I've got it written down this way, I can show you, I ended up making a flip-flop. Initially, I think I was leaning more towards, for my bottom two, I think I was leaning more towards glass A than I was leaning towards glass C. But I'm going to flip-flop those two, having revisited them. So I think my last place is going to be glass A. Yeah, this is how I've got it written down, so you know I'm not lying. But I'm going to flip-flop those two. You're going down here, and you're going up there. So, last place tonight is going to be glass A. I'm going to give that fourth place. And then the reason why I'm going to go with glass C in third place is because glass C on the second time around compared to glass A, these were both the fruity ones. But glass C brought a little bit more of the fruity tang to it that I really like. That grape bubbly yum note was really staying consistent. And I think that the fruitiness of glass C overshadowed the fruitiness I was getting out of glass A. So when I made those two things go head to head, C just sort of outshone A a little bit. And since those were the only two I was getting fruit notes out of, I'm assuming, I don't know which one is which, but one of those was probably the Midwinter, and one of them was probably the Sherry Cask finish from Sagamore. And I think you could go either way on these, honestly. They were both pretty neck and neck. Both of those were in my bottom two tonight, either way. But I think I'm going to flip-flop on those. So last place is going to go to Glass A. Third place is going to go to Glass C. And then we're in the top two. Both these were fantastic. I think I'm going to go with Glass D, the one that we were getting the chai tea note on. I'm going to put that in second place. It was really good. Got those black licorice notes. I really appreciate those notes. But it's not the kind of thing you would reach for on the regular. It was much more, I think, out of the box. And I really appreciated that tonight. Would I appreciate that every night? I don't know. But I do know for a fact that Glass B was friggin' phenomenal. And I could drink that all day, every day. I would let that spank me on the bottom. It was so good. So that's going to be my final ranking. B in first place. D in second place. C in third place. A in last place. All right. So let's start with last place, and we'll see what these are. Sound good? Ah, really? This was the Sagamore Sherry Cask finish. Okay, Sagamore Sherry Cask finish. So that's 106 proof, and I knew I was going to be doing this blind, so Matt, I let him know what was on the docket. He was like, oh, you should probably put this up against the Midwinter, so he sent me in a sample of his bottle, so I wouldn't have to go out and buy a fresh one, because I didn't have one on the shelf currently. So thanks again, Matt. Appreciate you for substituting in a bit from your bottle. But yeah, Sagamore Sherry took last place tonight. It was neck and neck with C, which I'm assuming that one's got to be the Midwinter. But that one just brought a little bit more of the fruit forward, and I really appreciated that tonight. Originally, I had them flip-flopped, but tonight, for some reason, on the revisit, head-to-head, the fruit was just so much more prominent on Glass C. So C took third place. Let's see if I'm right. Yes, sir. That is the Midwinter Nights Dram. I always say that wrong. Midwinter Nights Dram. This is the most recent one. This is the 2023, winter of 2023. So that's the most recent bottle from Midwinter. The price difference there is the thing that's the kicker. So I still feel like, the Sagamore Sherry finish, what is that, $60? $60, $70, something like that. I still think for the price point, I'd go with the Sagamore. Because Midwinter, while it just slightly edged out the Sagamore tonight, it was still really close. And the Midwinter, you're going to pay, what was it? They increased MSRP, right? Wasn't it this last time around it was $150? Like a $150 bottle? Actually, I said no to a bottle of it this year because I went into a store. This guy, I don't know, he's kind of rude about it. But I'm a regular, so I walked in there, I was perusing, and he was like, hey, I just got this in, and he went back to his office and came back and slapped the Midwinter down in front of me. And he knows I love rye. I think he just expected me to buy it outright. I was like, oh, heck yeah, the new Midwinter, because it was December. I was like, heck yeah, the new Midwinter. Yeah, what are you asking for this one? And I expected him to be close to MSRP. It was like, what, $150? He was like, best I can do is $200 for you. I was like, best you can do is $200 for me? And he's like, yeah, I can't lose. I can't just give this away. I'm like, I'm a pass. And he was like, he kind of huffed about it, I think he really expected me to take it home for that. I was like, come on, man. Come on, man. So anyways, I passed on that bottle, but I have had a couple of samples of it, and this pour tonight came from one of those samples from a guy in my local bourbon club, because I told him I wanted to do a finished rye thing, and I swapped him a sample. What did I give him? Oh, the JD12. I gave him a pour out of my JD12, and he gave me a pour out of his Midwinter. So Midwinter beats the Sagamore Sherry straight up, head-to-head, in the flavor department. But it's, close to $100 more. So, is it worth it? That's entirely up to you. Both of those pours were great, though. Cool. Second place. This is the one we got the chai note on. Shoot, I don't know what that could be. I'm interested. Aha. That is Fiddler Toasted Rye Whiskey, straight rye whiskey. This is 95.5, so this is really high in the rye department. 6 years, 7 months old, 115.2 proof, 115.2. Spent 46 weeks in a toasted barrel. 46 weeks, so that's, what is it, like 10 months? 10 to 11 months, somewhere in there? That's a decent amount of time to be finished. That's almost a whole extra year of age on this thing. You think the initial aging is 6 years, 7 months, and that spends another 10 to 11 months in a second barrel, aging even more. So you essentially have, 7.5 years of age on this whiskey. And if that's what came alive in the Georgia heat in that much time was the chai and the black licorice and the maple, hey, that's really freaking good. I really like that tonight. Boom. Fiddler. Now, I think I know what first place is because of just how much oak and brown sugar I was getting off that. I have a feeling I know what that is, and I think it is right behind my fat noggin. I think that's what it is. But let's find out. I think that's the JD special release from 2023, the Twice Barreled Rye. Let's find out. Yep. That would be JD Twice Barreled Tennessee Rye Whiskey. Special release from 2023. That's a killer bottle. I tend to lean higher proof. This is only 100 proof. So I'm surprised. Well, am I surprised? No, this brings a ton of flavor at 100 proof, so I'm not at all surprised. Who am I kidding? That bottle historically does really well for me. So I will probably not finish that pour. I will redecant it back into that bottle and save as much of that juice as I can, because every time I have it, I freaking love it, and I don't want that bottle to go away. But I am also the kind of guy that's like, I buy whiskey to drink it. I don't buy it to just show it off on a shelf all the time. But anyways, that is the finished rye blind. JD Twice Barreled Rye Special Release 2023, taking first place, followed by the Toasted Fiddler Toasted Rye. And then after that, Midwinter Nights Dram, and then Sagamore Sherry Cask. What a killer lineup tonight. Heck yeah. Loved that. I really got to treat myself. But thank you so much for tuning into the video. I appreciate each and every one of you. Let me know how you think you would have ranked these based on the tasting notes today. Where would you have placed them? Let me know in the comments below. Appreciate your viewership and your support. Big shout out especially to my Patreon supporters, because you guys are the reason I picked up the Fiddler this last month. So you can see I barely had any of it. Most of the pour out of it, most of what's been out of it is just what was poured today by my wife. So I've barely touched it. But I am excited to continue to drink in it. I am excited to continue to drink in it because I English so good, especially on weekends after having several pours. But anyways, excited to continue drinking that. Big shout out to my Patreon supporters for the funds that you provide every month, because that's what I bought this with. So really grateful to you guys. That's how I get to pick up bottles and review them here on the channel so consistently. We'll grab the Fiddler since it did so well tonight. We'll say cheers, my friends. May you live richly and get better with age. And I look forward to catching you in the next one. Bye-bye.